A foreign government secretly gifting a former U.S. president a $400 million luxury jet sounds like the kind of wild rumor you'd scroll past, but this one hit the Senate floor with a political explosion. Senator Chuck Schumer says Donald Trump didn't just get offered a plane, he got handed a flying fortress from Qatar, potentially wired with foreign security systems, and signed off by none other than Attorney General Pam Bondi. It's corruption dressed as generosity, a national security alarm wrapped in luxury. And if what's being reported is true, this isn't just about politics, it's about the Constitution itself being tested in real time. The scandal broke like a thunderclap in Washington.
Of the Qatari government gifting Donald Trump a $400 million private jet to use as Air Force One is so corrupt that even Putin would give a double take. This is not just naked corruption, it is also a grave national security threat. So in light of the deeply troubling news of a possible Qatari-funded Air Force One and the reports that the Attorney General personally signed off on this clearly unethical deal, I am announcing a hold on all DOJ political nominees until we get more answers. Here are some questions that must be answered. First, I call on the DOJ's Foreign Agent Registration Act Unit, or the FARA Unit, to do its job and disclose all activities by Qatari foreign agents inside the U.S. that could benefit President Trump or the Trump Organization. Since Attorney General Bondi took charge, the Department of Justice has not been doing its job when it comes to FARA. The FARA unit needs to enforce the law and inform the public of all activities, not just on this luxury plane deal, but all deals involving foreign countries in the Middle East and President Trump, his family, and the Trump Organization. Second, with regard to this $500 million private jet deal, the American people deserve to know the facts. President Trump has told the American people this is, quote, a free jet. Does that mean the Qataris are delivering a ready on day one plane with all the security measures already built in? If so, who installed those security measures? And how do we know they were properly installed? Why would we take the risk of trusting any foreign country to do this sensitive work? If not, what security modifications would be needed to ensure a foreign-sourced Air Force One is safe to use? If this is, as President Trump promised, a free jet, will the Qataris pay for those highly sensitive installations, or will American taxpayers cover the cost? How much will those modifications cost American taxpayers? Hundreds of billions of dollars? Hundreds of millions of dollars? Billions of dollars? How much will they cost? If the American taxpayers are forced to pay for this temporary plane, does it mean the U.S. government will cancel the contract for the future Boeing plane? If so, how much will that cancellation cost? And if not, why are American taxpayers being asked to spend hundreds of millions of dollars or more on a plane that will only be used for a year or two? Additionally, who in the Trump administration was responsible for this crooked deal? What are the parameters of this deal? And which country brought it up first, us or them? What is Qatar being offered in return? Considering past security disasters, such as the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, what are the security risks of this arrangement? And finally, how is this gift not naked corruption? The Attorney General must testify before both the House and Senate to explain why gifting Donald Trump a private jet does not violate the Emoluments Clause, which requires congressional approval, or any ethics law. So, until the Attorney General explains her blatantly inept decision, and we get complete and comprehensive to these and other questions, I will place a hold on all political nominees to the Department of justice.
Schumer didn't mince words. Standing before the Senate, he called the deal so corrupt that, in his words, even Vladimir Putin would flinch. This wasn't just some routine oversight. This was a bombshell that went straight to the heart of America's national security. A foreign country, not an ally known for transparency, allegedly gave a former president a massive private jet. Not just any jet either. This was a 747 outfitted like a palace in the sky, potentially intended to function as Air Force One. And here's the catch. It may have come preloaded with security systems installed overseas. Let that sink in. A foreign-installed system on a plane meant to carry America's most sensitive information. Schumer's warning was clear. This isn't just opulence, it's recklessness on a global scale. Then came the question that made the Senate chamber buzz: who approved this? According to Schumer, the green light came directly from Attorney General Pam Bondi. For years, critics pointed to her close ties with Trump, and now those warnings look prescient. With her signature, a deal this explosive allegedly went forward. Schumer wasn't just outraged, he decided to weaponize Senate procedure. He froze every single Justice Department nomination until Bondi explained herself. That's not symbolic. That's what they call procedural warfare in Washington, grinding the DOJ's staffing to a halt until accountability comes first. It's the kind of high-stakes move that signals just how serious this is. The jet itself is another character in this drama. A gleaming 747, once owned by the Qatari government, valued at nearly $500 million. It's been described as a floating fortress, a plane that could rival any luxury palace. But as grand as it looks, the real issue isn't the gold trim or private suites. It's what might be hidden beneath the luxury: foreign-installed communications, electronic systems, maybe even surveillance capabilities. Imagine a U.S. president flying aboard a vessel whose critical technology was fitted by another nation. Imagine the vulnerabilities, the backdoors, the risks. Who really holds the keys to that cockpit? That's the question Americans are now forced to ask. Trump himself has brushed it off, calling it a free jet. Free sounds nice until you realize free doesn't mean safe, and it certainly doesn't mean taxpayers won't pay. Because the so-called free jet still requires extensive modifications to meet presidential security standards. These modifications don't come cheap. Estimates run from hundreds of millions to potentially over $1 billion. And guess who covers those costs? Not Qatar, not Trump. You guessed it, the American taxpayer. That's not a gift. That's a bill disguised as generosity. And if taxpayers are paying to retrofit a foreign aircraft, what happens to the Boeing contract already in place for the next generation Air Force One? Does this gift derail an American company's deal? Does it cancel the project, racking up cancellation fees in the hundreds of millions? Or do taxpayers now pay for two planes, one temporary, one future? Either way, the American public is stuck footing the bill. Schumer's outrage didn't stop at cost. He pointed to the Constitution's emoluments clause, the part of our founding document that forbids presidents from accepting gifts from foreign governments without Congress's approval. It exists for exactly this reason: to prevent foreign powers from influencing American leaders through lavish gifts. Unless lawmakers secretly approved this behind closed doors, which they didn't, Trump's jet isn't just questionable, it may be unconstitutional. Some even argue it could be criminal. And yet, here we are debating whether a former president should accept a plane that could double as a Trojan horse in the skies. And it doesn't end there. This scandal isn't just about one plane, one president, or one attorney general. It's about how democracy erodes in plain sight. Not with tanks rolling into Washington, but with billionaires and foreign governments cutting deals in the shadows. Schumer laid it out bluntly: this is how democratic norms collapse, not with violence but with influence quietly purchased, with ethics brushed aside, and with officials sworn to uphold the law looking the other way. Bondi's alleged approval is the perfect example. Her job was to protect the law, not enable loopholes that undermine it. And yet, if Schumer's account is right, that's exactly what happened. The chilling part of this story is not just the gift itself, but the pattern it represents. Trump has long been accused of monetizing the presidency, of blurring the lines between public office and private gain. This jet, if the reports are true, is the most glaring example yet. A foreign government providing a former president with a state-of-the-art aircraft, potentially filled with their own tech, and eventually destined for his presidential library. That's not just crossing the line, that's redrawing the line altogether. Because the emoluments clause isn't a suggestion, it's a guardrail against corruption. Ignoring it means inviting influence from foreign regimes into the very heart of American leadership. So where does this leave us? Schumer is demanding that Pam Bondi testify, live, under oath. He wants every detail out in the open: who negotiated the deal, who approved it, what Qatar expects in return, how much taxpayers will really pay, and what security vulnerabilities are now hanging in the balance. Until those answers come, he's placing a hold on every single DOJ nominee. That's leverage. That's a political chokehold that says until America understands this deal, the machinery of the Justice Department will not move forward. And if the truth doesn't come out soon, the scandal only grows, because unanswered questions are fuel for outrage. This story isn't going away. It touches everything: national security, taxpayer money, constitutional law, foreign policy, and the very integrity of democracy. It's a political crisis wrapped in a $400 million bow, and the longer it lingers, the more corrosive it becomes. Because whether you're Republican or Democrat, whether you support Trump or not, one fact is undeniable: no foreign power gives away $500 million for free. There's always a price tag, even if you can't see it yet. That's why this scandal isn't just another headline to scroll past. It's not another partisan squabble that fades in a week. This could be the most egregious abuse of post-presidential power in modern American history, and it's unfolding right now, in real time, under the eyes of the world. The questions are bigger than Trump, bigger than Bondi, bigger than Schumer. They go to the heart of what America stands for. Are we a nation that resists foreign influence, or are we a nation that sells its integrity to the highest bidder? That's the choice lurking behind this scandal. That's the test that will define how history remembers this moment. Stay vigilant, stay vocal, and don't let this get buried. If you believe stories like this matter, if you believe corruption should be exposed and accountability must come first, make sure you like this video, share it with others, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Because the more light we shine on scandals like this, the harder it becomes for power to hide in the shadows.